She abandoned her poor husband and 3-year-old twins for a Dubai billionaire she met on social media. But when she got to Dubai, what she saw made her scream. You won't believe what happened to her. It was worse than a nightmare. Thunder cracked in the distance. It wasn't raining yet, but the air felt thick, like something terrible was about to happen. Inside a dimly lit living room stood Erica, mother of 2. In her hand was a plane ticket. First class. One way. Destination to Dubai. Behind her, chaos unfolded. Her husband was on his knees, gripping the handle of her suitcase like his life depended on it. Please, Erica, he begged, his voice cracking. Don't leave us. Please. Just think of the kids. From the corner of the room came the softest, most heartbreaking sound. Mommy, please. Their 3-year-old twins were kneeling on the floor, barefoot, tears flooding their tiny cheeks. Their pajamas were soaked from crawling after her, pleading with everything in them. But Erica? She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. Her heart had already boarded the plane. She stared down at her husband like he was a speck of dust on her Louboutin heels. Then, her phone buzzed. She glanced down. A message flashed on the screen. Don't miss your flight. I'm waiting for you in Dubai. Habib. Her lips curled into a smile. That name, Mr. Habib, was all she cared about now. A Dubai oil billionaire she met online just months ago. Rich, handsome, dangerous in all the right ways. He promised her a new life, designer bags, silk sheets, yachts, and champagne mornings. He said one thing that haunted her ever since. You weren't meant for this life of struggle. You were born to be worshipped. And Erica believed him. She yanked her bag hard, breaking her husband's grip. His fingers scraped the floor. He cried. Get out of my way. She snapped, her voice sharp and deadly. You useless, miserable man. Her husband sobbed, still kneeling, helpless. Don't do this, not for me, but for the twins. Look at them, they're begging. Slap. Her words struck harder than any hand. Begging, she spat. In this rat hole of a house. With no heat, no future, no dreams. That's not life. That's a prison. The little boy ran up and clutched her leg, crying louder now. Mommy, please don't go. Don't go. But Erica? She kicked her leg free like he was nothing but dirt stuck to her ankle. The child fell back, wailing. His sister screamed. Their cries filled the room like sirens. Still, Erica didn't stop. Didn't look back. Not even once. She marched to the door, heels clicking like gunshots. If I miss that flight, she growled, turning briefly, I'll never forgive any of you. Not even my own children. With that, she stormed out, dragging her suitcase through their tears, through their pain, into the arms of a future she thought would be golden. She thought the worst was over, but the real nightmare was just about to begin. A yellow cab was already waiting. She slid into the back seat without a word and slammed the door. Take me to the airport. Hurry. I'm almost late for my flight. The cab driver didn't ask questions. He saw the fire in her eyes and drove fast. Her phone buzzed just as they approached the airport gates. It was a call from Mr. Habib. She smiled as she picked up. Her tone instantly changed, sweet, soft. Hello, babe. Where are you now? His deep voice asked. I'm at the airport, she answered, her voice now playful. Good. See you soon, sweetie, Habib replied. Erica ended the call with a blush. Her heart fluttered with excitement. She could already picture the luxury, the diamonds, the yachts, the life she had always dreamed of. She stepped out of the cab, adjusted her hair, and strutted toward the boarding gate like a celebrity. She was almost late, so she rushed through security. As she waited in line to board, she opened her phone and went straight to her gallery. She tapped through the photos quickly, pictures of her children, her husband, family moments from birthdays and holidays. Without hesitation, she selected them all. Delete. Gone. She didn't want Habib to ever know she had a family. She had told him she was single, free, and ready for love. When the plane finally took off, Erica leaned back in her seat and smiled. She took selfies, made videos for Instagram, whispered into her phone camera. Finally, I'm leaving this miserable life behind. She didn't think once about her kids, or her husband, or their tears. Hours later, the flight touched down in Dubai. The plane slowed on the runway, and her heart began to race. She looked out the window and gasped softly. The view was breathtaking, skyscrapers sparkling like stars, roads so clean they shined, and golden lights lining the streets like something out of a dream. As soon as she stepped off the plane, She pulled her wedding ring off her finger and threw it into a nearby trash can. No more past. No more struggles. She was reborn. She walked out of the terminal like a movie star, head held high, heels clicking, soaking in the rich air of the city. Then she called Habib. "I'm at the airport, babe," she said. "Welcome to Dubai," he replied smoothly. "My drivers are already waiting for you. Go to the black SUVs lined up by the exit. They'll bring you straight to me." Erica's smile widened. But what she didn't know was that the luxury she was walking into might just become her biggest nightmare. Just as Erica ended the sweet call with Mr. Habib, her phone buzzed again. She looked down. It was her husband. Her smile vanished. "Tisish, this fool," she hissed under her breath. "He's going to ruin everything." Without even thinking twice, she hit the red button to cut the call. Then, with cold fingers, she went straight to his contact and blocked him. Not stopping there, she opened every single social media app and blocked him everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, even deleted his number from her phone like he never existed. She took a deep breath, adjusted her hair in the reflection of the airport glass door, and stepped out proudly into the arrival waiting hall. Inside, the cold air smelled of perfume and polished floors. Crowds moved around with suitcases and loved ones. Then, a young woman in a smart black dress walked up to her. "Hi, are you Miss Erica?" the lady asked with a polite smile. "Yes," Erica replied with her usual confidence. "Welcome to Dubai, ma'am. I'm Zara. Mr. Habib sent me to receive you," the lady said, reaching for Erica's suitcase. Erica gave her bag without question. Zara rolled it behind her and said gently, "Please follow me." Erica followed her outside the airport doors where two shiny, black luxury cars were parked by the curb. Their engines purred softly, and a uniformed driver stood near each one. Zara opened the door of one car for Erica. "This one is for you, ma'am." Erica stepped in like royalty. Zara got into the other vehicle, and the cars began moving in a smooth convoy. As the car drove through the golden streets of Dubai, Erica couldn't stop smiling. The city was beautiful. Skyscrapers glowed like stars, palm trees lined the road, and everything looked rich, clean, and perfect. She pressed her face lightly to the tinted window, thinking, "This is the life I deserve." But what she doesn't know is that the real nightmare was just about to begin. After about 20 minutes, the car slowly turned into a gated property with high walls and bright lights. It looked like a hotel, tall, modern, and grand. There were fountains outside and flowers carefully trimmed like something from a movie. But then, something caught Erica's eye. She gasped, her body freezing. Inside a tall glass cage beside the entrance, she saw something strange. Gorillas. 3 of them. "Oh my God, are those gorillas?" she asked Zara as soon as they stepped out. Zara smiled, but there was something off about it. "Yes," she said simply. "But why are they here? What's going on?" Erica asked, her heart beginning to beat a little faster. Zara's eyes glinted for a second. "Don't worry. You'll find out tonight," she said with that same empty smile. Erica hesitated, but before she could ask more questions, Zara opened the hotel door and waved her inside. Inside was even more beautiful: golden lights, velvet chairs, and art on every wall. Zara led her to a private room upstairs. "This is where you'll stay. Mr. Habib will join you soon," Zara said. Erica dropped her purse, kicked off her heels, and smiled. "Finally. Please, freshen up. You must be tired," Zara added before walking out and closing the door behind her. Erica headed into the bathroom, humming to herself. The bath was warm. The soap smelled like flowers. It felt good. When she came out, she was surprised to see the room had changed. A large tray of food now sat on the table: chicken, rice, fruits, drinks, and a bottle of wine. She didn't ask how it got there. She didn't even care. She sat down and ate like she hadn't in weeks. Just as she swallowed the last bite, there was a knock on the door. She stood up, wiped her hands, and opened it. 2 men in black suits stood outside. They both wore dark glasses and had serious faces. "Hello, Miss Erica," one of them said. "Mr. Habib sent us." "When is he coming?" Erica asked quickly. "Very soon," the other replied. "But first, we need you to sign this." One of the men pulled out a document and placed it on the table. "What is this?" she asked, looking at the thick stack of papers. "It's just a simple agreement. It's for a fun game. Nothing serious. And you'll be well paid for participating." Erica looked down at the paper. Her eyes lit up when she saw the reward, $20,000. She didn't read another word. "Where do I sign?" she asked, grabbing the pen with a wide grin. They pointed to the line. She signed. They handed her a copy of the paper, nodded politely, and walked out of the room. She smiled to herself and picked up her phone to call Mr. Habib. The call didn't go through. She frowned and tried again. Switched off. She waited a few seconds and tried again. Still off. Her chest tightened a bit. She sat on the edge of the bed, biting her nail. "What's going on?" she whispered. Just to keep herself calm, she reached for the document she had signed. Maybe she should read it now, just to understand. She looked on the table where she placed it. Nothing. She checked under the tray, under the pillow, the floor, the corner of the bed. Nowhere. Did they take it back? She said to herself, her voice shaking. She checked her bag, her purse. Nothing. Her heart started pounding louder. She laid back down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince herself everything was fine. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe the paper wasn't important. Maybe the game really is nothing. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Not at all. Another knock came at Erica's door. She sat up quickly. Her heart was still racing from before. Mr. Habib's phone wasn't going through, and something in her gut felt off. She walked slowly to the door. It was Zara. She stood there with the same strange, fake smile on her face. Her eyes were cold, like glass. "It's time," Zara said softly. "Time for what?" Erica asked, confused, her voice shaky. Zara didn't explain. Instead, she handed her a black box. "This is your outfit for the game," Zara said. "Change into it. Then come with me." Erica opened the box slowly. Inside was a tight, shiny dress, way shorter than anything she'd ever worn, and a pair of glittering silver heels. The dress looked expensive, but also revealing. Too revealing. She hesitated, but a small voice in her head whispered, "Don't mess this up. This is how rich people do things." So she changed. When she stepped out, Zara looked her over and nodded. "You look beautiful," she said with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. Erica gave a weak smile, but something in her chest twisted. They walked together through a long hallway. Everything was golden and quiet. The walls were covered with glowing lights, and soft music played from nowhere. Erica whispered, "Zara, what exactly is this game? Why the dress?" Zara didn't even look at her. "You'll find out," she said flatly, and kept walking. Then suddenly, Zara turned sharply down a hidden staircase. It led downward, underground. Erica followed. The light started to fade. The music stopped. The air felt cooler, colder. Each step they took echoed like a warning. Erica's heels clicked on the stone steps. Her chest grew tight. "Zara," she said, her voice rising. "Where are we going?" Silence. She looked behind her. Zara was gone. Gone. "Zara?" Erica called out, spinning around. "Zara." Nothing. Then, heavy footsteps. Coming from above. Two large men appeared, dressed in all black. Sunglasses. No expression. Erica's heart dropped. Who are you?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Where's Zara?" The men didn't answer. One of them raised a finger and pointed down the hall. "Keep walking." Erica took a step back. "Please. I don't want to." "Move," the second man said louder. She had no choice. Tears filled her eyes as she walked, step by step, toward the unknown. The hallway was tight. The air felt like it was choking her. Her dress felt too tight now. Her heels suddenly too tall. At the end of the hall was a metal door. Old, rusted, heavy. It creaked open slowly on its own. Erica stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind her. She spun around. The two men were gone. Her heart pounded. Where am I?" she whispered, shaking. Suddenly, bright lights exploded above her. The room lit up. And then, a loud roar. A crowd. Shouting. Cheering. Erica looked up in horror. She wasn't in a hotel anymore. She was standing at the center of a giant underground arena, like a mini stadium. She was at the bottom, while the crowd sat all around her in rising rows. They were clapping, laughing, some holding up phones, recording her. She looked around in terror. "What is this?" she cried out. Then, another sound. A low, deep growl. A gorilla. Her body turned to ice. Another metal door opened slowly on the far end. Two tall Arab men in jalabias came out, dragging a massive, muscular gorilla on a thick chain. The gorilla snarled, eyes wide, pounding its chest with force. The crowd exploded in cheers. Erica gasped as her eyes scanned the crowd. And there, front row, was Mr. Habib. He wore a golden robe, calmly sitting with a book of betting tickets in front of him. Wealthy-looking guests surrounded him, all placing money on who would win. Behind him was Zara, helping sell more tickets like nothing was wrong. Erica's knees shook. She wanted to scream, but her voice was stuck. Then she heard a man in the crowd shout to his friend, "You think she'll survive the first round?" Erica's mouth dropped open. First round. That's when she knew. Everything had gone horribly wrong. Suddenly, her mind flashed back to earlier. What are those gorillas doing here? You'll find out tonight. Zara's words echoed in her head. The crowd began chanting, "Release the gorilla! Release the gorilla!" Erica screamed, "Please, help me. I'm married. I have 2 kids." The crowd began to murmur. Some guests looked shocked. A man stood up from the front row. "Why would you bring a married woman and a mother into this kind of game?" he shouted angrily. Voices rose in protest. Tension filled the room. An announcer stepped to the center with a microphone and raised his hand. "Everyone, please calm down. We'll verify if her claim is true." He turned to Erica. "What proof do you have that you're married?" Erica's lips trembled. She quickly held up her hand to show her wedding ring, but it was gone. She had thrown it away at the airport. She reached for her phone, shaking, and opened her gallery. But there were no photos. She had deleted every single picture of her husband and her children on the plane. She began to cry. "I don't have anything right now, but please, believe me. I'm a mother. I have twins, please." The man frowned, then walked off stage to speak with the announcer. A few moments passed. Then, the microphone echoed again. "She has no proof. Release the gorilla." The crowd roared in excitement. A bell rang. The gorilla's chains were dropped. It let out a loud, terrifying roar that shook the floor. It pounded its chest 3 times, raised its head, and charged forward, straight toward her. Erica couldn't breathe. Her vision blurred. Her body trembled uncontrollably. Then, just before the gorilla reached her, she screamed and collapsed. But the gorilla never stopped. Everything went dark. Hours passed. Then, slowly, Erica opened her eyes. Bright white lights stung her vision. Her head felt heavy. Her body, weak and sore all over. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her stomach like a blade. She gasped in pain and fell back on the soft bed. Her clothes were torn, bandages wrapped tightly around her belly and arms. There were bruises on her legs. Her face felt swollen. "Where am I?" she whispered. Just then, a soft voice spoke beside her. "Calm down, ma'am. You're in the hospital." Erica turned her head. A nurse stood beside her with gentle eyes. Suddenly, it all came flooding back. The crowd, the cameras, the stadium, the gorilla, Mr. Habib, Zara, the betrayal. Erica burst into tears. Loud, painful cries. She covered her face with her shaking hands and cried like a broken child. How did she end up here? All she wanted was a better life. Luxury, peace, a way out. Now she was bruised, alone, and far from home. Just minutes after she woke up, her phone buzzed beside her. With shaking fingers, she picked it up and saw a new email notification. She tapped it open. Subject: Congratulations, Miss Erica. You survived. Only 20% of participants make it out alive. Your courage has been rewarded. Below the message was a large winner logo and her name in bold. Erica stared at it, numb. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a bank alert. $20,000 credited. The same amount she saw in the paper she signed. She should have been happy. But there was no joy, no smile, no celebration. She just stared at the screen, her eyes glassy. This was not the dream she came for. For weeks, Erica remained in that Dubai hospital. Her wounds were deep, not just on her skin, but in her heart, in her mind. Some days, she couldn't even get out of bed. She would lie there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about her children, about the cries she walked away from, the way her son had held her leg, the way her husband had begged, and how she didn't care. The hospital bills piled up. Every scan, every injection, every surgery. By the time she was finally well enough to leave, half the money was gone. The rest went into booking her flight back to the US. The ticket wasn't cheap. It was last minute, and she had no one to help her. Now, she was left with just a little money, barely enough to get by. As she packed her things in the hospital room, her fingers brushed against the edge of the hospital bed. She paused, tears filling her eyes again. She came here hoping to change her life. Instead, she almost lost it. And now, with torn pride, a broken body, and barely a few dollars left, she would return to a family she abandoned, if they would even let her back in. Her flight was in 6 hours. But in her heart, the real journey was just beginning. The day of her flight finally came. Erica sat by the window of the plane, looking down at the glowing city of Dubai as it faded beneath the clouds. But there was no joy in her eyes. Her heart was heavy, her body still ached, and her mind replayed the horror she went through over and over again. She touched the bandage on her arm and whispered to herself, "I just want to go home, to my husband, to my children. I have to beg for their forgiveness." Tears rolled quietly down her face. "I made a mistake," she thought. "I thought I was chasing happiness, but I was running away from love." Back home in the U.S., in a small apartment on the east side of town, Kevin, Erica's husband, was in the living room. There was music playing softly from a Bluetooth speaker. On the table were 2 little cupcakes with candles, one for each of their twins. Kevin had just come back from his new job. After months of struggling, working on construction sites, carrying bricks in the hot sun, going days with only water so his children could eat, he had finally gotten a stable job. A good job. The kind that paid every Friday. The kind that came with health insurance. The kind that gave him hope. And today, he was celebrating. The twins danced around the room, giggling and clapping their tiny hands. "Daddy, can we light the candles now?" one asked, eyes full of excitement. Kevin smiled, a tired, proud smile. "Go get the lighter from the kitchen," he said gently, rubbing his son's head. As the kids ran off, Kevin's phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from a friend. "Bro, is this not your wife?" Kevin picked up the phone and tapped the message open. At first, his eyes didn't move. He just stared. A video began to play. It showed Erica, his wife, in a shiny dress, standing alone in a giant stadium. People cheering. A gorilla being released. Her collapsing to the ground. The video was shaky, like someone recorded it from the crowd. Kevin's mouth dropped open. He froze. He didn't blink. Didn't breathe. His hand holding the phone slowly dropped to his lap. And then, tears. Big, painful, unstoppable tears. He didn't make a sound. Just sat there, tears falling like rain. The twins came running back. "Daddy, why are you crying?" one of them asked, confused. Kevin quickly wiped his face with his palm. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Just then, a knock on the door. 3 knocks. Heavy. Quiet. Kevin stood up slowly, the phone still in his hand. The video had stopped, but the image of Erica on the screen remained frozen. He walked toward the door, every step heavy with pain. The twins followed him, curious, clutching each other's hands. Kevin placed his hand on the doorknob and paused. His heart was racing. He knew. He already knew who was standing on the other side. Kevin slowly turned the doorknob and opened the door. There she was, Erica, standing in front of him, worn out and trembling. Her face was pale. Her clothes looked old. Her hair messy. Her eyes, red and tired. She looked like someone who had walked through fire and barely made it out alive. As soon as their eyes met, Erica dropped to her knees. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she cried out, "Please, Kevin, forgive me. I've come back. I'm so sorry." She looked at the screen and saw herself, dressed in the short gown, the gorilla being released, her collapsing, the gorilla playing with her. Her heart dropped. How did he see this? She thought, panic rushing through her chest. She looked up at Kevin, her eyes wide with guilt and shame. "Kevin, please. I can explain," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Kevin didn't move. His eyes were full of pain, but also anger. Deep, burning anger. "Explain," he said, almost laughing through his tears. He stepped closer, towering over her as she remained on her knees. "You left your babies crying at the door. You stepped over their tears and ran off to Dubai for this dirty act just because of money?" Erica began to sob harder, her hands clasped tightly. "I was lost. I was desperate. I made a mistake," she pleaded. But Kevin wasn't moved. His voice now rose with disappointment and pain. "You are a disgrace to womanhood. A disgrace to motherhood." Erica cried out, "Kevin, please, I was blind. I regret everything. Please give me a second chance." He looked at her, his jaw clenched, his fists tight. The twins peeked from behind the curtain, their small eyes watching silently. Kevin's voice dropped low, firm and final. "Go, and never come back." I don't want to see you near me or near my children. You made your choice. Now live with it. Then, without another word, he stepped back into the house and slammed the door shut. The sound echoed in Erica's ears like thunder. She fell to the floor in front of the door, her sobs echoing through the hallway. Her hands covered her face as she cried like a wounded soul. The man she left behind had moved on. And now, there was no more home to return to. The wind blew softly down the quiet street. Erica sat alone, on the same doorstep she once walked away from. But this time, the door didn't open behind her. This time, no one was begging her to stay. Erica remained on her knees, weeping on the doorstep. Her cries were soft at first, but then something changed. She clutched her stomach with both hands, her face twisted in pain. My stomach, she screamed. Help me. Somebody help me, please. Her voice echoed down the quiet street. But the door behind her, Kevin's door, remained closed. He heard her cries. He heard her scream in pain. But he never opened the door. Not once. Across the street, a neighbor named Mrs. Wallace heard the shouting. She quickly dropped her groceries and rushed out of her house. When she saw Erica on the ground, curled up in pain and crying, she gasped and ran over. What's wrong? What happened? Erica could barely speak. Please, my stomach, help me. Mrs. Wallace didn't waste time. She called 911 immediately. Within minutes, the sound of sirens filled the street. An ambulance arrived, and the paramedics jumped out. They lifted Erica carefully onto a stretcher and placed her inside the ambulance. As the doors closed, Erica's eyes rolled back, and she whispered, Please save me. At the hospital, the emergency room lights were bright and cold. Nurses and doctors worked fast, attaching tubes, checking her heartbeat, running tests, and giving her medicine for the pain. She drifted in and out of consciousness, her mind foggy and weak. A few hours later, the doctor finally stepped out of the emergency room, his white coat swaying with each step. He held a file in his hand, his face unreadable. He walked into Erica's hospital room where she lay on the bed, pale and still, barely holding herself together. He gave a small smile. Mrs. Erica, he said softly. She turned her head slowly, her eyes heavy with pain and confusion. The doctor glanced at the chart, then looked back at her. Congratulations. You're a few weeks pregnant. Silence. For a full 5 seconds, the room froze. Pregnant? The word echoed in her ears like a gunshot. Her eyes widened. Her heart dropped. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Pregnant? Her hands began to shake violently. And then it hit her. Kevin isn't the father. The truth crashed into her chest like a storm. She gasped sharply, her eyes rolling back. No, she whispered in horror. Before the nurse could catch her, Erica collapsed. Her body hit the cold hospital floor with a soft thud. She fainted, completely unconscious. Machines started beeping. The nurse screamed for help. Doctors rushed back in. But the damage was already done. Where are you watching from? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.